Hey guys, it's Coin Crazy, and I am back with a different video today. And some of you guys may not like this video, others may think it's really a cool video. It is on my collection of vintage and some modern knives. And if you don't like knives, if that's not your sort of thing, feel free to skip this video altogether. If it is, stay tuned because I got some pretty cool knives here. I got one here from the 19th century. I've got some from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and then some more modern examples. But what inspired me to make this video is a couple of days ago, might have even been over a week at this point. I uploaded I shot a video on a new knife that I had bought at a local coin shop. And it was a celluloid. It has a celluloid handle, and it has the shell. I always say mobile. The Shell Oil company logo on there. It was a promotional piece from the 50s, 60s, and it's super cool. It's one of my. It is well. I shouldn't say it's one of. It is my favorite knife that's a part of my collection, and it's fantastic. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. So I thought, I should show the other knives that I have. Maybe those people who collect knives might find this video somewhat interesting. I don't have a huge collection of knives. This is it. That doesn't mean it won't grow in the future, but let me show you what I have here. So this is my second favorite knife. This used to be my first until I got that knife I just was referring to. And again, if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. It's a cool video. So this knife is fairly unique in that it is made of coin silver. You can see it says coin right there on the blade. This whole thing was made from melted down coins. And because of that, because it's a coin silver knife, you can date this to about the 1860s, 1870s, 1880s, could even be the 1850s, 1840s, even prior to that. The mid 19th century is when this was likely produced. Whoever made this knife had it ordered. You can see that they had their initials added to the knife there on the handle. And then I'm not really sure what has caused all that pitting on the knife, unfortunately, but it's still in pretty decent shape. There used to be a second blade here, but somebody was using it, putting utility to this thing, and it snapped off evidently, or maybe they melted it down, who knows. But it's not a very sharp knife anymore. It may have been. It's not a very, you could use it to cut some paper, right? But it's literally about paper thin. It's a very, very thin blade here. So I think this was more for looks than anything. To be honest with you, I can't see someone really getting a whole lot of utility out of this. I imagine that if you were to jam this into something, you're going to bend the blade or snap the blade before you'll cut anything. There's another marking here. It says 5. I'm not really sure what that means. I don't even know how to begin researching this knife. These things seem to be pretty rare. They're fairly expensive. I think I paid a little bit of money for this. Not a substantial amount, but a little bit. I guess substantial for what it is, right? And when I went to my local coin shop, which coincidentally also sells knives, vintage knives. I asked the guy, "Do you have any coin silver knives?" And he acted like he wasn't sure what I was talking about. So I think these are rare. You don't see very many of them. You can buy a few of them on eBay, but again, they are expensive, especially if they are problem-free. Unfortunately, this one is not problem-free with all that pitting and the broken handle or the blade, but still a very, very cool piece to have in my collection. My second favorite knife that I own, and it's one of those things I won't get rid of. It's something that I'll leave behind and let the kids or whoever inherits some of my things decide on what they want to do with it, because I won't get rid of this. This is just a cool thing. I'll never melt this. I hope nobody melts it in the future either. And then I picked up this not long ago, actually. It has a celluloid handle, and it's got some damage. You can see I didn't pay very much for it. Unfortunately, though, this one is not. I really don't know how to research this one either, because it doesn't have a maker's mark. At least I can't find one. Usually the maker's marks are on the blade, right about there. And if there was a maker's mark at one point, and I'll show you what I mean by that. You can see there's a maker's mark, and here's a maker's mark. And usually even on your more modern knives, there's a maker's mark on the blade. And so there's not one here. And I'm thinking that it could have been there, because it feels a little pitted, but it could have been there, and that possibly somebody was trying to clean the blade and they rubbed it off. I don't know. Sometimes you see these people who collect vintage knives and they go get these abrasive cleaners, even more abrasive than like Brasso, and they clean these blades, and sometimes it makes it look great. Sometimes it makes it very noticeable. Like you can see on this one, clearly someone tried to clean that. And so, you know, obviously someone tried to clean this at one point and they did more damage, I think, than they did good. So this was pretty cheap. I bought it though because it has a really cool, the handle just attracted me. All the different colors, and it's just a cool looking handle. I would say this was made sometime in the 40s through the 60s, if I had to date this. And it is a fairly sharp knife. The blade is dull. It's sharper than the coin silver knife, let me put it that way. It's nothing you're going to get a whole lot of utility out of today, unfortunately. Now this knife is a Kent knife made in Walden, New York, and it's a vintage knife made sometime between the 20s and the 60s, more likely right in the middle of that, the 50s. And the handle's fairly clean. It's got the old Kent kind of logo there, I guess you could say. And unfortunately, it does have a crack there in the handle, but I really love the colors. It's a celluloid handle, and there's something about this faux mother of pearl type of look that attracts me. If I see it, I will usually buy it. Someone tried to clean the blade, and that's unfortunate, and I think they may have tried to sharpen it too, because this does have a sharper end. Nothing really significant. Dull, though, on the top. And so, again, not going to get a whole lot of utility. However, the cool thing is you will find these at antique shops all the time, the ones with this logo. And you find these at a yard sale or online or locally somewhere, and you can get them at a cheap price. But pick them up because they are vintage and just cool to have. So another kind of cool celluloid handle to have in my collection. Now this one's really cool, and in person the green just pops out. But again, another green celluloid type handle made about the same period, the 50s, 40s, 50s, 60s. That celluloid was very popular. And this one's actually sharp. It's sharp here and it's sharp here. Would you use this? You could probably open envelopes with this. You're not going to get a whole lot of utility with this. You could cut through plastic. The blade's pretty firm. So yeah, you could probably use this even today. It looks pretty original. Doesn't look like this has been cleaned all that much. And if they did cleaned it, if someone tried to clean this in the past, they did a good job. You can see the company there. I've done a little bit of research on them, but not enough to really tell you too much about them. But I can tell you this is a vintage knife, and again, a pretty neat one. And I always hate closing sharp ones like this with one hand. In fact, I probably shouldn't try to do this right now. There we go. If I can get it like that, I can get it shut. But I'm sure there's a trick to doing that one-handedly. Then I found this actually in a relative's fishing box, and I can't figure out if this is an old knife or a new knife. The company that makes these knives is still in business today, and I know this knife has to be sometime, had to have been produced sometime prior to 1970, 1980, because of where I found it and what relative it was. They're no longer living. And so it does have a model number, but I try to look up the model number, and evidently it's still used today. And so I don't know, this doesn't seem It seems like an old knife. I've seen these at antique stores, these old timers, and I knew that the blade looks very old. It is rather sharp still, so that's kind of a clue that it could be more of a modern knife, but I'd say this is probably the 60s, 70s, maybe even the 50s. I have to do some more research on this. Unfortunately, I just can't find. It's a 3-blade knife, and I just can't find. It has a 40T on it, but there's some numbers prior to that I can't read. And the closest one I could find was very similar, but they still sell it today, and I know that this is not the same knife. This is not a modern knife here. I'm pretty confident. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty confident in that. Now this is a modern knife, and this was made by the Kissing Crane Knife Company, and they've been making knives since 1834. And what attracted me to it was this beautiful celluloid kind of. I guess that's celluloid. It's a full mother of pearl handle, and I love mother of pearl. I think it's just a really neat thing to see all the different colors, and this is a really nice knife. This is one that I use actually to open packages and cut through things. It's a 3-blade knife, so there's 3 other blades. It's very sharp. You can pick one of these up on eBay for anywhere between probably $15 to $25. Depending on what kind of a deal you can get. What's nice is because it's this one I got to be careful with, and so I'm probably not going to do this one-handed on camera. At least I'm not going to do it with my, there we go. I just hate doing that on camera, especially with the hand that's non-dominant, right? So, pretty nice knife, and a great little addition to my collection. I'll show you this one next. This is another one that's modern. I use this to open up boxes, and you can pick up one of these for $10, $11, $12, and it's pretty cool. It's a sharp knife. You can see it has kind of the mechanical handle there, and it is a sharp knife. You would not want to be on the business end of this knife. That is for sure. This thing cuts through boxes and cuts through just about anything like gravy. And it's kind of funny because it says USA design there, but then it says China on the blade. It's got a nice little clip. You can put it on your shirt pocket or your pant pocket. And again, the nice faux mother of pearl handle, which is nice. It's not as nice as some of the other. It's not as nice as, for example, this. You can tell a clear difference. But it is a nice knife. I like how the safety feature to shut it, you move that to the side, go to the left, and then you can shut it very easily. Or at least you're supposed to be able to shut it. Let's see. Yep. There we go. I keep forgetting you got to do it at the same time. But it's a very, very, very nice knife, and definitely would recommend one of these for your unboxing videos. Now this is kind of cool. I bought this at the mall. Yes, the local mall. I live down the street from a mall. I saw this behind a glass counter, and I thought, that's really cool. And I was collecting this mother of pearl, these kind of celluloid knives. So I asked the lady to see it, and we really couldn't figure out how to get it open. We thought it might be one of those ones that pop up, and those are illegal in some places. And so we were being very careful with it, and we realized, okay, there's a little lock here, a little locking mechanism. So that made us think, okay, there's a knife behind it. But you might have seen it when I put it to the side. It is actually, I have it locked right now, it is actually a comb. And it's a very nice comb, actually. This thing works very, very, very well. It's got the nice mother of pearl handle. So I think I paid like $8 for this. Not bad at all. And it's just a cool thing to have. Although I will tell you, it looks just like a knife. Not something I would try to take past airport security. So just a few knives here. I'm sure you guys can, there's people out there with cool knives, much cooler than this. I sure would love to have a World War II knife. I just haven't found one yet that speaks to me. I'm sure that day will come, but until then, these knives will do just fine. And I tell you, there's some cool history here. Again, some of these might have been used, like these right here, might have been used in like the Boy Scouts and in the 50s, 60s. You can see some young teenagers running around with these in their pockets. And then this one, you know, is some gentleman with probably on the higher end of life to have a coin silver knife like this. A well-to-do person. And then these, you know, old fishing knife, and these, the stories are yet to be told. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. And if you like this video, you like this type of stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe. Always looking to add new subscribers. Oh, and you know, I'll show you this real quick. I got these in actually. I really do like mother of pearl. I don't know why. I think it's a really cool thing. So I needed a tie clip. I'm a flight attendant, so you guys know that you know, we have to look a certain way and present ourselves in a very professional way. So I ordered this. I thought it was super cool. It is a vintage tie clip, probably the 50s, 60s. It's supposed to look like a propeller, and it has real mother of pearl there, which is really, really super cool. I don't know if you can see it change all the different colors. And then I won't use these for my uniform unless something happens with one of the buttons on the sleeve. Right? If something happens. But mother of pearl, oh, I can't think of the name right now. The collar, you guys know what these things are to hold your sleeves together. I just can't think of the name. I'm having a memory lapse. But very, 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 very cool. So anyway, I got those in today, and I just had them sitting out next to the knives, and thought that was cool, kind of to show you here at the end. I guess I really didn't need to show you, but I thought it would be cool to show you. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and please like, comment, and subscribe.